So we are now in June of 2026, which means we have entered summer. But before we can get to summer and be excited for summer, and we can still be excited for summer, I want to look back at the spring cinema season and go through the films that I saw the cinema and do a little fun little ranking of these films. So the plan is to kind of do these once every 3 months after the end of each season. So I have ranked all films I have watched in spring of 2026. I've seen 12 films, 12 cinema released, newly released films in spring. 9 of them I liked. 3 of them I did not. So we're going to get to it. I want to also note that any of the all barring one of these I've done a review for. So links will be in the description below for all of the films that I've reviewed. And we'll get started with number 12. And my least favourite film that I saw in spring of 2026 was Lee Cronin's The Mummy. I had some anticipation for this film. I felt like it was just, at worst, it was kind of just a boring, dull, wannabe exorcist film. That eventually, by the time it got to the third act, it was really lame and really eye-rolling, and I just really wanted it to end. The actors who were in the film aren't bad actors, but they didn't necessarily give good performances. And Lee Cronin isn't a bad filmmaker. He just kind of made a film that I really had zero interest in. And that was my least favorite film of spring. Coming in at number 11 is the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It's such a forgettable film that I don't think I could even tell you a single thing that happened in this film. It's mindless garbage that is the equivalent of waving keys in front of a child's face. It's bright flashing colours. I think the novelty of seeing Mario stuff on the big screen wore off after the first film. I said that I enjoyed the first film enough for what it was, but even then I didn't really like it as such. The Super Mario Galaxy movie, it just didn't do anything else for me. Yes, it's a movie for babies, but also I feel like babies should be treated with a bit more intelligence. At number 10, the final film that I didn't like from this past season, was Project Hail Mary. I think I said all I needed to say about this film in my review, but to encapsulate it, it's a film that I thought was too smug. I thought it was too... The way that I've described it, people, and I wish I said this in my review, but I didn't think about it at the time. But the way I've thought about the film is that it feels like the movie equivalent of a popular kid, in the sense of they're likable and they're good looking and they're charming. So, and they've kind of expect anything they say must mean it's funny, and anything that does come out of their mouth, everyone will laugh at them because they have to, because they're the popular kid. Project Hail Mary feels like that to me, in the sense of do any of us actually find this funny, or all you people just, I don't know, sheep, brainwashed sheep? That's not fair. I can acknowledge how someone can enjoy this film. Space films are a difficult one for me. I wasn't really interested in the film, and especially since it's a nearly 3-hour long film. Imagine watching a film that you're not that interested in for 3 hours. I don't know. Not for me. Didn't really enjoy this one at all. Now we come to my the number 9 of my spring ranking, and this is the first film that I liked out of this. All the other films I liked, so there you go. Coming at number 9 is Hokum. Now, I didn't do a review for this one. I didn't do a review on this one because I had an absolute crap cinema experience in the sense of people next to me were just insufferable. And that's all I'll say about it because it's not worth getting into it. But Hokum is a film that I enjoyed. I couldn't quite get fully on board with it because I feel like all it was just kind of Adam Scott walking around, looking at stuff, and then jump scares would happen. Nothing really got to me in terms of scare-wise. The creepy bunny mask was actually genuinely like terrifying, and like that was... I like that as horror imagery. That was really neat. And I appreciate the aesthetic. Like it felt like a big cozy horror. And I can imagine myself sticking this on again just on an October night just to have something on. I felt like, I don't know, I would be interested in watching the directors of the film Oddity, which I heard is very good. And I didn't dislike Hokum. I feel like, though, it fell victim to, okay, now we need to try to explain everything. And it just felt a bit like, it felt like you know what? It felt like if this was a Silent Hill film, a Silent Hill adaptation, I would have been fine with it. It's one of those. It's the better Silent Hill film out of the other one that we got earlier this year, which put all sorts of anger in me. Hokum did not. Hokum's fine. I feel like it was a bit too reliant on jump scares, but it's a cool, nice, cozy horror vibe. And coming in number 8 on my spring ranking is Undertone. This is a film that I don't think about often, but when I do, I'm like, that was good. I think it's a really cool film to look at if you are an independent filmmaker and you find yourself and you struggle to think of stories that aren't just big scale and you struggle with small scale storylines. I think Undertone is a very good film to watch to look at how to make a film with very few resources, narratively speaking. And also, there are some really cool creepy moments in it. It does a really good job with using dead space and using that. I feel like the lead actress is really good. I'm interested to see what the director, Ian Turson, will do with Paranormal Activity and what else he'll do, because he's got a really inventive mind for this filmmaking lark. And Undertone, I enjoy it a lot. And Undertone is my number 8 of spring 2026. My number 7 is John Carney's Power Ballad. Now, this is more of a recent watch for me. It's a good feel-good film. Paul Rudd and Nick Jonas are charming. I think John Carney is very good at making these really uplifting films without feeling like, I don't know, without feeling that he's like being too sickly sweet, and feeling genuine, and all his films feel genuine, and Power Ballad is exactly the same. And I've had that like tune stuck in my head, how to write a song without you. I wake up and I just think of how to write a song, so soundtrack is good as well. There's some really cool covers. It's a nice film, and I think it's a genuinely nice film. Like how everyone was like, how everyone watched Project Hail Mary, and they were like, we need more films like this. I'm like, you know what? I think we need more films like Power Ballad to uplift our spirits and remind us how happiness actually feels. Now, my 6 and 5 felt a bit interchangeable, I will admit. I think I eventually settled on my 6 being my 6 as opposed to the 5. Because I feel like if you were to ask me right this minute, out of these 2 films, which would you watch? And I'm like, I would rather watch my number 5. So that means my number 6 is The Sheep Detectives. Again, by the end of the day, I could switch this around and Sheep Detectives could be my number 5. But right now, it's my number 6. A great family film. Really, a pleasant surprise. I didn't expect to like this as much as I did. Again, as I've said, I might, as the time goes on, I might boost this up higher. like when it gets to the end of year list, this might be higher up than it is now. But as of right now, I put it as my number 6 for spring 2026. It's apart from just being a really like genuinely like good whodunit with actually a good mystery involved in it. It's really a heartwarming look at grief. And I think especially for a family film, it's very important to have messages like that where it's like, yes, we can have fun and enjoyment and we can remember the good things, but also there are bad things in life. And that doesn't mean we have a bad life. It just means, it just means life's complicated. Sheep Detectives is great. I'm not sure how often I'll watch it by myself, or how often I'll watch it again, which is why it's this low, which is why it's my number 6 and not my number 5. But Sheep Detectives is great. Which brings me on to my number 5 favorite film of spring 2026. And that goes to Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. Now, is this film got more emotion and actual emotional heft to it than Sheep Detectives? No, it hasn't. But did I have a lot more fun watching Ready or Not 2 than Sheep Detectives? Can I picture myself watching Ready or Not 2 so much more than Sheep Detectives? Yes, I can. I think we're Ready or Not 2. It's just one of the more fun times I've had in a cinema. I'm a sucker for big, cinematic, fun gore stuff. I love the Evil Dead remake. I love Kill Bill. And Ready or Not 2 really does scratch that itch of fun gore. Where Ready or Not kind of plays off as a bit more of like a fun cat and mouse comedy horror, Ready or Not 2 is a lot more of a badass action film that has an unbelievably fun performance with Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton. And I wish, is it on streaming already? I need to get them both on Blu-ray. I swear to God, man, they're so good. Ready or Not 2 is great. It's fantastic. Big fan. And it's my number 5 of spring 2026. Now, my number 4 favorite film of spring 2026 is Exit 8. And now, before I get in to talk about Exit 8, let me take a sip of water. That wasn't just a sip. That was a few gulps. Exit 8 is a film that I hope more people watch as the year goes on. Because I think it's excellent. I was familiar with the premise going into the film. I was aware of the indie video game. And by the way, this film is easily the greatest video game adaptation for a film ever. I haven't seen The Last of Us or The Fallout show. But in terms of a movie adaptation, show me a better one than Exit 8. I don't think you can. But I was familiar with the premise of this looping subway room and whatnot. But what I really liked about Exit 8 was the story and the narrative that they put in, which was original in the sense of like the game doesn't have that, so they added it. They added that for the film, and the lead character is great. Like, it's very, you can get emotionally attached to it. The whole story following him is great, and the more you learn about him is excellent. I love the use of filmmaking, how it starts off as first person and it goes into long takes, but then we have cuts. It's actually one of my favorite made films of the year. And if it wasn't for another film that I'm shortly about to mention, I would say that this is like an easy win for production design. But yeah, no, X8's great. X8 is absolutely fantastic. I see myself peeking a bit. Okay, never mind. X8's great. I love it. It's fantastic. I can't wait to watch it again. Because, like, it's a film that I do remember quite a bit. And think to myself, man, that's really cool, man. Again, it's uncanny, and it's actually it's actually got a good amount of emotion in it. My number 4 is Exit 8. My number 3 of spring 2026 is Backrooms, directed by Kane Parsons, starring Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renata Reinsve. At first I wasn't sure if I was going to have this at number 3, or if it was going to be... I didn't know whether I preferred it or Exit 8. Now, I think Exit 8 has a more compelling story and more compelling characters, but Backrooms has been in my mind more. And I know Backrooms is a more of a recent watch compared to Exit 8, but with Exit 8, I was like, that's really good. And I remembered it from just recalling it, but it wasn't like scratching inside my brain. Whereas Backrooms has been scratching inside my head. I've wanted to go back and watch this film. I've still only seen it the once. But it's a film that, like, I think is excellent for concept. I love how it's this successful. I think it's a film that I love how bold it is, especially for a wide cinema release. Like, this isn't just like an average horror experience. This is quite methodical. But I wouldn't cut a single thing. And I do like how it's there to add more to the lore as opposed to being a complete narrative. Like, this exists within Kane Parsons' YouTube series as well. And yeah, man, it rocks. It really like burrows itself in your mind. And it operates on the fact of, like, yes, there's a lot to take away from it, but I also feel like you could just watch this film on a surface level and still get a lot out of it. You don't need to break it down to understand it. It does enough from just watching it fresh without really analyzing it deep down. It's fantastic, and Backrooms is my third favorite film of spring 2026. Now, my number 2 of spring 2026. For a bit was my number 1, but my number 1 sat in my mind more and went up top. So, my second favorite film of spring 2026 is the drama written and directed by Christopher Borgley, starring Robert Pattinson and Zendaya. I've not had a more, like, enthralling cinema viewing experience since, like, Midsummer. To hear the audience reaction in this film was just phenomenal, and I think this might be the better made film that I've seen over the last few months, in the sense of the editing and the performances and just the overall feeling that the film gives. Like, it's funny, but also really dark, but also doesn't whiplash you in tones and emotions. Like, you're not like, oh, hang on, I was laughing one moment and now I feel really depressed. It's like this really complicated amalgamation of emotions that is such a great conversation starter. Like, the amount of conversations I've had with a variety of different people based on the drama is amazing. And the fact that it can do it in, I would say, quite a digestible way. Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I think Robert Pattinson and Zendaya are excellent in this film. Robert Pattinson, maybe my favorite male performance of the year so far. Yeah, I really enjoy, even though I'm a big horror guy and I've still got one major one to talk about, but I almost like how a film that isn't a genre film did this well, and we can still get films like this that aren't genre based. It's great. It's rewatchable. It's thought-provoking, but it's also just a great time at the cinemas. And now that leads me on to my favorite film of spring 2026, and that is Obsession, written and directed by Curry Barker, starring Michael Johnston and Indy Navarrete, and Cooper Tomlinson and Megan Lawless. brilliant, absolutely sensational. I'm not an original voice in this. I am not. I don't stray from the pack in my opinions of loving this film. I think it's an absolutely excellent film in terms of it combines that really deep, like emotional, layered horror, quotes, elevated horror, of the likes of like something like a Hereditary or like of a Midsummer or like of another horror like an It Follows or like a Babadook, like those kinds of films. But also, it's really fun. It's a really fun film. Without like what I say with the drama, without feeling like we're whiplashing. Like the humor is so beautifully integrated within the intensity of Obsession. And like what I was saying with Backrooms, I'm so happy that this film has the success that it does. A film that has a budget of under $1 million is outperforming a Star Wars film is insane. And it's awe-inspiring and it's brilliant. And Obsession is a film that I love it from like a fun horror point of view, but it's also a film that like I've sat and thought about and have now whereas the drama has made me have conversations with people on a wider scale, like in the sense of more like I'm discussing with people about the drama, the themes of the drama, on more of like on a outer subjective objective, whereas Obsession I've been thinking about and talking about on more of a personal level and it's made me feel it's made me feel a very specific way. And although I think the drama is probably a better film than Obsession, I think there's not faults with Obsession, but there's moments where I can pick that, and I can have a question mark over that. Like small, not many things. Like I can't do that with drama, for example, though. But Obsession, I can pick a few things. But Obsession has been more in my mind and more in my day to day, in the sense of when I've been thinking about it. I love the music. I love the visuals. I love the performances. It's even like, so for example, like even like unintentionally, it's been a film. Obsession has been a film in my mind of when I've been in creative bursts of not necessarily like I want to make Obsession, but like even just thinking to myself, that watching Obsession has been the catalyst to unlock something in my brain of like what I could do for a storyline for things. So not only has it benefited me from a creative way, but it's also benefited me from just a person, if that makes any sense. But yeah, that is my spring cinema season 2026 ranked list. I hope all my thoughts made sense. But if you've watched this video and you've been like, Oscar, you seem to ramble a lot in this, you didn't really seem to make much sense, links are in the description below for my individual reviews for all the films that I have mentioned. If you want more concise thoughts about those films. What did you think of my list? I am curious to know what you thought. I'm curious to know what your favorite films from spring have been from March, April, May. I'll do another list like this in 3 months' time for the summer season for the films that have come out in June, July, and August. If you like the video, make sure to give it a like and share it. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Links are in the description below for the Crazy Stupid Kino Instagram page, as well as my own personal Instagram and my own Letterboxd to see what I am doing in terms of film viewing And yeah, till next time, I shall see you later.